Hello there, I'm joined by Cameron Reynolds. He is the CEO of VolitionRx. He has been on Edison TV before, but there are some interesting new developments in his business and also some results coming up as well. But first of all, give us that background on VolitionRx, Cameron.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. We're a cancer diagnostic company looking at a range of different cancers with a very cost-effective, easy-to-use blood test. Cancer is actually very survivable if found early. Unfortunately now, most cancers are diagnosed quite late when they've metastasized and when it's very tough to treat. So with a blood test, which is very highly compliant and very low cost, we hope to test hundreds of millions of people around the world eventually to detect cancers early and to have the people treated so they can go on and live much longer and happier lives.
Give me some milestones as to where you are now, what's happening at the moment as we speak, and what's going to be happening in the near future.
Yes, we're undertaking very large clinical trials. The largest one we just announced is 30,000 patients, which we hope to follow for 6 years. So we'll have 90,000 samples. And 2 other very large trials in Denmark, all in colorectal cancer. So we're undertaking very large trials for a frontline test. In the meantime, while that test is being finished, we just launched a test in a more of a niche market, but still potentially several million tests per year, called the Nu.QTM Triage test, which is designed to fit in the current pathway of the health systems that have screening programs for colorectal in Europe. Just a quick run through of that. Currently, before you have a colonoscopy, in Europe you have a fecal test, which measures if you have blood in your stool. And if you do, you have a colonoscopy. The problem is 95% of people who test positive, or 94% depending, do not have cancer. They have blood for other reasons. So you're giving a lot of colonoscopies to people in these programs, which the governments just can't manage at the moment, because when you add a large screening program on top of the current capacity, it's very, very hard to keep up. So it's a very good outcome for everyone. That is our first product. We just got it CE marked in December, and we're now launching with this first logistics study in Denmark to see how it's very practically used in the healthcare system there.
You've got results coming up now, and there's a whole series of sort of news items and developments within the sort of simple image of your financial results. Let's talk about what you're announcing as we move towards those results and those results are released.
Yes, so we've finished the last year with $21.5 million in the bank, which is a very big outcome for us for 2 reasons. One, we've raised money very well. It's the most money we've ever had in annual report. And we're only burning about $2.5 million a quarter. So we have a long runway now. And the announcements, we have the first logistic study of a European government for our triage test in Denmark. It's a very practical study that will last just under 6 months, which allows them to really get a good understanding of how a test fits into their pathway. Very practical decisions about how the blood is collected, where it's processed, those kind of things. So we're very hopeful of that, and that will lead to hopefully the first revenue in Europe. And Denmark is a very forward-thinking country. It's got a fantastic healthcare system. So we're hopeful this study will help other countries to adopt our test, this first triage test, because every country that has a screening program with the fecal testing has the same problem. They just cannot handle the capacity of extra colonoscopies. So we really want to help with that as soon as we can.
New people on the horizon in different countries, if you're doing more work in these different areas across geographic borders. Have you got new hires, new talent coming on board, and what will that mean to the business?
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. So we focused on the European market first. It's the home ground for us, if you will. And we have the CE mark, and we're getting good traction now with our first product, as evidenced by the Danish logistical study. We took on in January Dr. Quay in Singapore, who's helping us with the Asian strategy. And we've just announced today the creation of Volition America, solely focused on the US launch for our products and a whole nucleosomics range of Nu.Q tests, beginning with the frontline colorectal when that's ready.
And if you're talking about cancers, obviously we're talking about a very wide range of areas within the body that are affected by cancer. You're sort of focusing in on particular areas at the moment. Will they get wider? Are you going to take on different types of cancer in the future?
Yeah, Nick, good question. We're a small company, and the only current cancer screened commonly with blood is the prostate, the PSA in men. So there's a huge amount we can do. The nucleosome structures we're after have been shown to be different in every cancer we've looked at and have been looked at. But being a small company, I mean, no one's ever launched one successful test, certainly not in the last 30 years since the PSA. So we really had to focus on one test to make sure we didn't bite off more than we could chew. So colorectal is a very common cancer, unfortunately, and one which is easily treatable. So we can add a lot of value. That's why we started. But in our pilot studies, we had great results in lung and pancreatic and prostate as well. So now we're getting traction in Europe on the first product, and we're pivoting to the US. We're opening our new facility in Belgium next month.
What will that involve? Is it new laboratory,
Yes.
new production, or what?
It's about 5 times bigger than the facility we currently have, and it will allow us to really do a lot more work in colorectal, in the frontline test, and the next cancer we intend to do larger studies in is pancreatic, where before we had 2 very good pilot studies.
Patents, are they relevant to you? Are you having to go out and seek new patents all the time? Is it happening as we speak?
Very much so. Our intellectual property is a very large portfolio. Dr. McAuliffe, our chief scientist, has written almost all of them, and they arrange basically every structure on the nucleosome, the biomarker we're after. We're very happy with our intellectual property. We've been granted most of the patents now in most parts of the world where it's important to be.
Get your crystal ball out. What do we expect to see from your organisation 2017 and maybe beyond on what you know at the moment?
Yeah, our plan for the last 2 years has been to steadily develop the European product, get CE marked, which in December in 2016 we did. We have launched. We can now show with the logistics study in Denmark we're getting great traction. We're opening our big new facility. We're pivoting back to the US. We'll be announcing the US trials, what timing that's going to take, what the costing will be. Also the Asian process, we're very hopeful our products can be used in Asia. We should have some good news on that as well. And the frontline colorectal test, not the triage test, but the frontline test, we expect to have a lot of news in the next year. And the next cancer we'll be looking at after the very good pilot studies will be pancreatic. And then we've also had good pilot data in lung and prostate as well. So that will be over the next coming years. And I think as we get more and more successful, prove we can commercialise, it's not just a great idea, we can actually help patients in real life, we should gain even more and more speed, because I think we have something very special and we can really make a difference.
Well, thank you for filling us in on your results. And you're going to be ringing a bell in a couple of days.
Yes,
tell us about that.
Monday, the 13th, this upcoming Monday, we're ringing the closing bell in the New York Stock Exchange, where we're listed, VNRX. And it's on at 4 o'clock Eastern time in the US, which in the UK time is about 9 p.m. I believe it's broadcast on a few of the commercial channels.
Well,
you can see us on the balcony.
We'll be watching.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Cameron Reynolds from VolitionRx, thank you very much for joining us on Edison TV. Thank you.